Good afternoon, Niner faithful. Welcome to another episode with your host, Rob Schuh. Very excited. You may have heard on the show I did this morning with Grant Cohn that I was going to be bringing on a special guest for the Friday show. I am very excited to have this gentleman here with me. With no further ado, Silverado Kev, welcome to the program, my friend. Thank you for joining me.
I'm not worthy. I appreciate it, man. I'm happy to be here, man. Seriously, man. Thanks, Rob.
Hey, really appreciate it. I have followed your content. You know, Kev is a writer for all 49ers. I also have contributed a couple of articles there myself. Great content. And he also is a member of 49ers Talk, Real Talk, 49ers Talk, Niners Talk.
Real Talk, Niners Talk, right.
Got the description, the link to that down in the description of the video. Got Kev's Twitter handle down in the description of the video. Get over there to Real Talk, Niner Talk, and check out that content. Subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Kev, why don't you tell them a little bit about how you guys are doing things over there on the channel?
It's a slow grind. You know what I'm saying? It's a slow grind. We've been going about a year now, and if anybody been following the channel, you know, like anything else in life, you know, that starts small, you got to keep watering it, and eventually it grows. Excuse me. I mean, so, you know, we just, you know, pushed over 400 subscribers.
Nice.
But, you know, I mean, it's a slow grind, you know, and so, and when you're doing something you love, things like that really don't matter, because to be honest, we only have 4 subscribers, and we'll still be going as hard as we're going, just because we love what we're doing. So, you know, Real Talk Niner Talk on YouTube, you know, Facebook, Instagram, Real Talk Niner Talk is what we do. And again, you know, I started solo, you know, but I've been with different entities over the past couple of years, but I've landed and found a home with Real Talk Niner Talk. So, hey, man, like I said, if you like what you see with me, you're gonna definitely love what you see with the squad, because there's 5 of us. Well, 5 of us plus one lady, First Lady Red Jet Shell. You know, so she's joined the crew now. But yeah, man, same thing you're doing, except, you know, we're just not as big. You know, we're like the little guys. You know, but we're on our way. So keep an eye out.
I remember the grind, man. It is in building out that channel. It does take that passion. It does take the desire to talk about the Niners above all else. And that's the sense that I get from you is that there's real passion to this, that just as you said, it doesn't matter the results. The results will come. It's the process. Right. It's enjoying the journey. It is sharing that time with other Niner faithful. That is so rewarding in my experience. But that leads into my next question for you, which is, how did you come around to being a Niner fan? When I tell my story, you know, I tell about how I moved from the East Coast to the West Coast when I was 8 years old, ended up in the Bay Area, started going to Niner games in the mid 80s. And as a kid, like, how do you not fall in love with Joe Montana, Ronnie Lott, Roger Craig, Jerry Rice? Forget about it. Like, of course I fell in love with the 49ers. Of course I became a Niner faithful. Right? So tell me a little bit, what's Silverado Kev's journey to faithfuldom?
Well, I had the honor and the privilege to be born into the empire. From the day I took my first breath, September 1st, 1978, I'm old, and at 7:02 p.m., I became a faithful. You know, my grandmother, and I've told the story a million times, but I tell it again a million more times. My grandmother, my late grandmother, Gloria Mitchell, is still to this day is the biggest Niner fan I've ever met. I mean, especially for a woman, you know, Rob, when I tell you, you remember the old school VCR holders? They're about, you know, yay wide, you know, and they had about maybe 10 or so cassettes.
Yeah, I do. You and I are within 2 months of the same age. I was born in October of 78. So yes, I absolutely have fond memories of the VHS.
Well, you know, and so there were 3 across, and she had a good 4 or 5 of them stacked up. And when I tell you, she may have had every Niner game, Super Bowls, Pro Bowls, you name it. So on Saturday mornings, and to this day, I have this memory vividly in my head. On Saturday mornings, most kids, they jump up with a bowl of cereal and watch the Saturday morning cartoons. Nah, Gloria, Miss Mitchell didn't play that. Soon as I get up, brush my teeth, wake up and everything, I'm eating my cereal. It got to a point where she didn't have to say anything to me. I got up, did my morning routine, walk over to the cassette holder or tape holder, pull out one of the sections and pick a tape. And so we were literally, I'm watching the film with my grandmother, and she's telling me, Eddie DeBarlow and Carmen Policy. I mean, just all the important names, Jerry Wright. I mean, I'm like, how does a woman know all this about football? You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
First Niner game, my grandmother. First Warriors game, my grandmother. First Giants game. I mean, just everything San Francisco in me was my grandmother. So, and funny thing, if we ever do meet, we watch a game together, and I do it to this day, and it scares people. Whenever there's a fumble, it's not even it was just Niner games. She used to yell fumble, loud as hell, and I'm like, what the heck? So ask anybody who know me, Kev's gonna yell fumble. Even when I was coaching, fumble, and I'm like, hey, somebody got to hear that. They may not seen the ball come out. So I got all that from her, and when I tell you I miss her every day. I got a picture of her on my nightstand, man. I'm so thankful for my grandmother, Gloria Mitchell, for raising me the way she did, as a Niner fan. So I was born and raised into it. Fillmore District, if any of y'all familiar with San Francisco, the Fillmore District.
Sir.
That's where I'm born and raised. So as a matter of fact, where my maternal grandmother lived in Fillmore on Golden Gate at Fillmore.
Sure.
The parades used to come down the street right behind our house.
Oh man!
So I had two great grandmothers. You know what I'm saying? One of them, the parades came down the street, and the other one was just about working for the Niners. So
right.
I mean, memories out the Wuhan, man. And so, like I said, I'm so thankful to her for making me the man I am today.
That's fantastic. I love the ties, and a special shout out to the female members of the faithful. I don't think that they get the credit that they deserve. I think that's true of the YouTube creators. I think that's true. Man, some of the most powerful voices, some of the most caring fans, when you go to the stadium, are the female faithful that come in, and I just special shout out to them. That's a cool, touching story of growing up watching film instead of watching Saturday morning cartoons, man. You got a head start in figuring out the West Coast offense, man. Getting in that film study.
And I love
early,
my cartoons.
Sir.
And I love my cartoons, but and she was also about education and higher learning and higher thinking, thinking outside the box. So she didn't want me to just be sitting in front of the TV watching cartoons, putting my mind all day. So, I'm so thankful because, that's why I am the way I am now. That's why I started playing the game. That's why I started coaching the game. I've been a youth coach for about 7 years. I don't coach anymore since my son went to high school.
Yeah.
But, I coached for about 7 years, and I just took what I learned playing from her and put it in the coaching. And I just love the game, bro. It's just everything about football. Eat, sleep, football is what I do.
Man, the strong women in our life play a key role in shaping the men that we become as we grow up.
Right. Amen.
That is a key point. All right,
and
well,
to piggyback right quick off the whole women thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's this preconceived stigma or notion that just because they're women, they don't know nothing.
Right.
I've met women who can talk men under the table about football.
100%.
I mean, even correct them on some things. I got a sister. I got a sister named Sonia, my Niner sister. I mean, she'd talk to you about X's and O's, stunts and fronts, you name it. And our first lady on Real Talk. Red Jet Shell. She'll put you in your place.
Right.
So shout out to all the ladies. And as a matter of fact, we're going to be doing another ladies' night on Real Talk, Niner Talk.
Ooh, nice. When's that happening?
We did the first one. We're trying to put it together right now. We did the first one ever, and so we're going to go ahead and do another one.
Nice.
And shout out to other channels who've been doing ladies' night since then. For perpetuating and keeping that going. Putting the ladies on the pedestal they belong.
That's right.
On.
Support them. Absolutely. All right, let's get into our first Seattle Seahawks related topic here. The Seahawks have been sacked a combined 35 times so far this season. Only 22 of those were against Russell Wilson. Obviously, he did miss time there. But that's a fairly high number within the NFL. It's one of the worst rates in the league, and it sets up for a situation where the 49ers defensive front, I'm probably picturing Nick Bosa first and foremost, can feast on Seattle and their porous offensive line. How do you see this setting up and playing out for San Francisco on Sunday?
Rob, I would love to go ahead and circle this as a win on the schedule, but it's in Seattle. And like it or not, like them or not, they always play us tough.
Yes, they do.
Even our wins, had to be last second, the Greenlaw stop, on the goal line.
Yeah, half yard.
Man. So so long as we continue to build off what we've been doing the past couple of weeks, clean up the mistakes, correct the deficiencies that we've had, even in the wins, I think we'll come out victorious. But Russell Wilson, man, the dude's a damn magician. I mean,
yes.
There's been times where you like, get him, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, he makes a way out of no way most times, and so the offense runs through him. They really have no run. They really have no running game. I know DJ Dallas, kind of does this thing every so often, and Homer kind of gets off if you let him. But we shut down that running game and make Russell Wilson beat us. Now, the only reason I'm gonna say this, typically I wouldn't want that to happen because he can't beat us by himself.
Right.
But I've noticed, Rob, and maybe it's just me, but I'm asking, it seems like that finger just isn't right still. Because he's throwing some passes. As me as a Niner fan, I'm like, really, Russell? That's what's going on. So hey, sweep the leg.
That's right. Sweep the leg.
You know what I'm saying? So hey, hurry him. Make him uncomfortable. Contain him outside. Keep him inside the pocket. Plug the middle, and I think we'll be okay. DJ Metcalf is almost a thing in the past.
It's wild how he has faded this year.
Man,
it really is.
Yeah.
And to your point about those throws for Wilson, it seems to be he's struggling with all of them. It's not just the deep ball. It's not the intermediate. It's all of the above. It's some short passes that he's missed. It's some medium passes. He is off. Something is not right. And sweeping the leg seems like a good strategy. Get to him, hit him, make him uncomfortable. What do you put, if you had to put an over-under on how many sacks the 49ers get on Seattle this weekend, where are you putting that figure and which way are you leaning?
You gonna give me a number or do I gotta pick one?
I'll throw it out. I'll say, okay, if I'm saying an over-under on this, I'm saying 2.5. I'm going to say 2.5 is the over-under for the Niners because that seems to fit with about where they've been averaging for the season.
And sadly, that 2.5 mostly goes to Bosa. But
right.
Since I give Bosa a good 2, at least 1.5 per game, I'm gonna go over. I say we have 3.5, 4 sacks.
Nice.
This game. With Bosa having 1.5 to 2 of those. Is D4 playing? Because I'm not sure if
he hasn't been activated yet. He could be as late as Saturday, so we won't actually know until tomorrow. It's not looking that way, though. I think it's safe to assume he's not going to play this week. His practice window may open and close without him actually being able to get on the field and practice.
Well, you know what? I mean, the past couple of weeks, other guys have been stepping up, and it's about time because I'm a huge Nick Bosa fan, but I feel bad for the guy because he's really been a one-man show out there. I mean, if you got one guy getting all your sacks and he's the guy getting the sacks and he's been in the chokehold getting the sacks, something ain't right.
Nope.
Shout out to Amanehu. He made a great play last game.
My man Charlie.
Charles Amanehu, Arden Key. Before last game, the last 3 games, 3 sacks. And
rushing from the interior too.
Yeah, I like Arden Key. I wrote about him when he came out.
Nice.
So if guys like that can contribute, I saw a video earlier. DJ Jones was talking about him.
I was just gonna say, my man DJ Jones with the barbecue sauce.
Hey, I need to get some of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. It supports a good cause. His dad, Big Dave, does the barbecue sauce. It's my unofficial sponsor. I got his permission to plug it on the channel just because it's for a good cause and they're good people.
Okay. So long as we have some type of pressure to the outside where we're kind of containing him and closing down that C gap, forcing him to the middle, and guys like DJ Jones, Eric Armstead, Gibbons made a great play last week versus
Yes, he did, knocking
Cook.
Dalvin Cook out.
Right. So so as long as the guys like that contribute and they keep the second level clean, I think we'll be okay. Just hurry him rushing.
My biggest take on it is the wide nine sets up to be problematic against guys like Wilson and Kyler Murray because their escapability is just, it's so good. They are so little Houdinis on the field. And Russell Wilson in particular has ripped my heart out of my chest one too many times where I thought somebody was close and they were going to get him down and he just, whoop, he's gone.
Right, exactly.
Like magic.
Exactly.
So to me, it is all about rushing as one, containment
as
on
unit,
the edges,
yes.
Not getting too far upfield, not allowing him to get through that gap, escape outside, and extend the play where he is just so deadly. So if we can rush as one and contain him, that to me bodes well. His performance so far hasn't been great. And that's a natural transition into our next topic, which is around Russell Wilson and the fact that he has been struggling so far, that it is a fair question to ask, is Russell Wilson on the tail end of his career at this point, or is this just more of a blip on the radar? I'll throw this out there as far as a statistic to react to. Over the past 3 games, what you've noticed, what you called out already, he's been off. He is completing his completion percentage is 51% over the last 3 games. 51%. In the 5 games he played earlier this season, his lowest completion percentage was 68%. Now he's dropped to an average of 51 in 3 games. That's an extended streak of not playing well. So it's fair to question if it's the finger. What are you seeing from Russell Wilson right now? Do you see it as just a blip on the radar, he'll get right? Or is he on the way toward the end of his career?
Listen, Russell Wilson has been and still is one of the best quarterbacks, not just in our division, but in the NFL.
In the NFL.
I mean, he's had one of the, he may have the prettiest deep ball I've seen. And I'm talking about this and didn't answer your question, but his deep ball is so pretty. It's almost like the guy isn't even open initially, but the way he throws his deep ball, it's like the receiver can be blindfolded, and if he says now, you put your hands out, and the ball's there. So, but as of late, because of that finger, he hasn't had that touch like he normally has. But right. I wouldn't say he may be towards the end of his career in Seattle, but I don't know about in a whole, because Russell is going to play until the Lord tell him he can't play no more. He's a very God-fearing man, much like myself. And unless the Lord tell him he can't play no more, he's going to keep playing. But if they could delay that, 1 game or so, I'll be fine with that. But look, don't sleep on Russell Wilson. And somebody said in the comments just now, don't sleep on DJ Metcalf, either of them. But just sweep the leg. Play to his weaknesses. We know that finger isn't right, but don't let that allow you to slow your rush up or go any harder than you normally go. Go get him. Keep him in the pocket.
Hit the man.
Keep him bottled up, and all will be well.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I'm going to steal that. I'm going to tweet out a gif of sweep the leg in reference to Russell Wilson for Sunday. That's just too good for me not to borrow it, Kev. But
I mean, you can't not. You know what I'm saying? You have to.
It is. So there are 2 sides to this, and the one that we've been hitting on is one side of it, that this is Russell Wilson. This is one of the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL. Don't doubt the man. He has shown time and time again in single games that he could be down, but he's not out. He'll come back. His faith and belief in God and in himself, in his God-given abilities, is elite. His when he walks the sideline, Kev, I hate to acknowledge it because it's not for my team, but when you see the mic'd up moments where they're down 1 score and he's going around and talking to people, we're going to go out there and win this. Let's go win this now. You can sense in his voice, in his body language, that man means that. Deadly serious. You are going to go win this game. And so that's what you have to be fearful of. Yes, my hope is that Gustavo is right here. This may be the last time we play Russell Wilson as a Seahawk. That is very real. They are going through something as an organization. They will have to decide at the end of this year what direction they go. But what I will tell you is if it's 2 minutes left and the Niners are up 6 and they give the ball back to Russell Wilson, my heart is going to be in my throat, Kev. I am going to be sweating bullets in the stands in Seattle because that man has a killer instinct.
Allow me to say this as well. Now, I know we're talking about his finger and everything, but his legs work just fine.
Yes, they do.
So he can literally win this game with his legs. If he can get to a sweet spot to where he doesn't have to put too much touch on the ball, too much zip on the ball, and he's close enough, he can kill us, which is another reason why I'm saying contain that man, harass him, keep him in the pocket, keep him bottled up. And Lord knows, as much as I have love for Nick Bosa or anybody playing a 5 tech, and this is a question I have for you. If you notice, a lot of times when any quarterback we play against put the ball in the stomach of the running back, our 5 techs, it seems like they're taught the 2 gap and crash through the C gap to the B gap to take the running back. I don't get that. Now, if it was a gap exchange, I get it. Because, in the gap exchange, the 5 techs crash and the outside linebacker, comes around to fill that gap, but that's not happening.
Right.
So long as we, Nick Bosa, I know you're hungry to make tackles, tackle for losses, but please play outside contain. Play through the C gap to the quarterback. I mean,
it's our kryptonite. I see it happen over and over again. In particular, it's just so painful because we have multiple games with them each year. But again, Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson have been able to make us pay for what feels like a lack of assignment sound football, right? It seems like a flaw in how we're actually executing it.
Rob, listen, I know I want to coach, youth football, from 9 years old to 14 years old. But I'm gonna tell you what I tell my guys, and Lord forgive me, but my exact words: I don't care if he faked the ball to Jesus himself at a running back. Your job is outside contain, C gap, outside shoulder free. So whatever you do, I don't care who he's trying to fake the ball to. Your job is outside contain, straight line to the quarterback. So damn near run fake, eyes on the quarterback. So if we can do that. Because think about it, that's what happens. Nick Bosa, a lot of times he bites on that run fake.
Yes.
And off to the races they go. Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, Jalen Hurd, Hurd.
Yeah,
Hurts.
20, 30-yard gash.
Right.
It's brutal.
So please play outside contain.
I love that reference.
Play it honest. Which one?
Love that reference that even if it's a man who's capable of miracles, I want you to focus on your assignment.
Right. Do your job. Stop being nosy. Yeah. Asking the kids I coach, stop being nosy. It's not your job.
Right.
Your job is here.
Trust that others will be assignment sound as well. Do your job within the scheme and trust that others will as well. Well, Billy D. Guy comes in with a good Hope Niners sweep the leg, do the crane kick, and at the end of the game, Mr. Miyagi would be smiling in that instance. I absolutely will be using the sweep the leg reference multiple times going forward up until this matchup. All right, so just how sweet would it be for our next topic? Just how sweet would it be if the 49ers were able to, let's do a hypothetical, beat the Seahawks pretty handily this weekend, as I think many expect, right? Seattle is struggling. San Francisco is currently one of the hottest teams in the league. And Seattle is reeling, where their fan base is very upset. They're calling for people's heads, much like San Francisco 49er faithful were doing not more than 4 or 5 weeks ago. But how sweet would it be if this was that beatdown, if we did hand them a big loss and we could point back to it and say we played a definitive role in helping to end an era for Seattle? How good would that feel, Kev?
I see where you're going with this. I do. I see it. I do. But only thing about it, I would feel better about it if Russell was healthy, if Metcalf was playing well. Only because their fans can say, "Oh, well, Russell wasn't 100%."
That's right.
And Metcalf, but even getting still, I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take it. I'm talking about no mercy, all gas, no brakes, foot on the gas, strangle them. I mean, I don't want to score no points. You ask me.
Yeah, shut him out.
I'm 37-0. You know what I mean? Nathaniel 0. I mean donuts on the scoreboard. But either way it goes, somebody said 38-17. I'll take that. I'll take that. But it's still Seattle, and anytime we beat them, I don't give a man, Rob. If we beat them 10-9, I'll be happy. Just because it's Seattle. But
a win's a win. Yeah, it's a dirty, filthy fight between the Niners and the Seahawks.
And can you imagine, Rob? And I'm not trying to speak it to existence, but can you just imagine they on this losing streak, this slump, and somehow, some way, Russell Wilson has this touched by an angel type game. Damn that! Go out there. So
it's my nightmare, Kev. You are talking about my nightmare right now, which is that we have the little brother syndrome right now, much like the Rams do against us. The 49ers, on Grant's show, he pulled out. I think the statistics since Russell took over is the Seahawks are 15-4 against the Niners in that span. 15-4, Kev. That is disgraceful. That is it to me. I said it on his program. It feels like that's the kind of beatdown that the Pittsburgh Steelers have over the Cleveland Browns over an extended period of time. That is absolutely big brother over little brother dominance. So I don't think it's one that that can be taken lightly. And I would say that I think you're right that it would feel sweeter if we could beat them at full strength. Admittedly, I don't think it'll take anything away from how I feel walking out of that stadium if we have a good beatdown, even though it is a battered and bruised Seattle team.
Yes,
when I leave Seattle, because I've got some pain there, Kev. I was there in the 2013 NFC Championship game. I scored a good ticket, man. So I was sitting amongst wealthy folks, but still getting peanuts thrown at the back of my head. That's only supposed to happen in the cheap seats, Kev, right? Right. Someone in the comments pointed out, they were like, Rob, rich people drink too. So yes, I had to admit, that was probably a little liquid courage. So I have a lot of bad juju from that stadium. And when I left there in 2019, after that Drake Greenlaw stop, oh my goodness, I was riding cloud 9. And I'll feel that way again if we can help seal the season for the Seattle Seahawks, even though they are a battered team.
Well, I'm going to tell you like this, man. Something else I used to tell my guys, I've coached over the years. And I don't care. Now, bear with me here. And
yes,
this is just for shock value, But I don't care if it's a female out there playing football. I don't care if it's somebody out there on one leg or somebody out there not 100%. My responsibility is, do they got a helmet on? Okay. They fair game.
Right.
Put them on their pockets. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
you can't take it easy on a team just because of circumstances that are going on.
No.
That you can only play the team that is put in front of you, and you got to dominate that team. You got to dominate them as if they are a feared contender in the NFC. Yeah, so I'm with you on that. Absolutely.
So
all right, so the 49ers themselves are overcoming some injuries, right? There are a couple of key injuries that the 49ers are going to need to compensate for this weekend. And, it seemed like a litany of injuries coming out of the game last week against Minnesota, but thankfully most of those were fairly mild, and even the key players that were down this week, it seems like they're short term. So there's good news to be had there. Seems like the only extended absence will really be Trey Sermon, beyond a week or two for most of the other key injuries. But the two biggest ones that jump out to me are obviously Deebo Samuel and Fred Warner. Let's start with Deebo. How do you see the 49ers attempting to compensate for, the man who's been our offense, aside from Elijah Mitchell, being out?
Whoo, Rob, my brother. I got to stretch. Wait a minute. That's a loaded question because I'm gonna give you one name, and only because it's the truth. With Debo out, now there's one name who has to be even better than he has been, and that's Jimmy Garoppolo. Because think about it, Rob. We're using Debo as a running back, not only because he's great at it,
right?
But because it's just Kyle Shanahan is doing everything in his power to keep the ball out of Jimmy's hands. How you feel like Jimmy Garoppolo? This is what we're gonna do. Even though we have running backs, we're gonna run the ball with a receiver so you ain't got to pass the ball more times in the game. And my thing is he's been such a huge part of the running game the past couple of weeks. So now, I know Hasty had a chance of coming back.
Yes, it looks like he'll play.
And I'm a Hasty fan. I actually met JaMycal Hasty's father at the airport back in October when I was going to the coaching game.
Nice, good dude.
Shout out to Carlton, man. Carlton, real cool dude, man. I got to call you, by the way. We need to talk. But yeah, man. So Hasty, he'll be a boost. But my thing is, Kyle Shanahan he's gonna have to kind of depend on Jimmy Garoppolo unless he's gonna replace Debo's snaps in the backfield with a Brandon Ayuk. And don't get me wrong, I think Brandon can do it too.
Yeah.
But it's like, how often are you gonna subtract from the receiver core to add to your running game? If you look at it, we're doing this for a reason because we don't trust, or he doesn't trust Jimmy the way we need to. And so and if you look at it, people say, oh, well, Jimmy G is playing some of his best ball since. Stop it. Jimmy G is the same Jimmy G. Jimmy is Jimmy. So we need Jimmy to hit his layups when they're there.
Right.
Hand the ball off to whoever you're going to hand the ball off to. But it's going to come to a point in time where Jimmy has to be big boy Jimmy and be good Jimmy versus bad Jimmy. So to compensate for Debo not in the backfield, and I hate to say it, but Elijah Mitchell packing lunch. Because
it's gonna be a long day.
Right, depending on you. But the way he's been playing, that's fine because he's been balling. Not to mention we share a last name, Mitchell. That's my guy.
Right.
So I'm with that, but it's gonna come down to Jimmy Garoppolo.
That's an interesting take on it that honestly I hadn't really considered. I looked at it from the angle of like, who are the skill position guys that are going to have to step in? But I think you're really onto something there, that a lot of the weight of this is going to fall on Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay, think about this, and I appreciate that. So think about this, right? So your question was, who's going to compensate or step up for the snaps or the production of Deebo Samuel, right?
Right.
So if initially you think about guys in the passing game, Kittle, Ayuk, Jawan Jennings, right?
Right.
Sherfield. Even with those four guys, the one guy that got to get the ball to him is Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy G.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, you know what? Kyle Juszczyk. I've said for a long time, and this is the joke I've had running for a while now, but only because of the quarterback play. I know they call him Juice, but he's been more like Tampico in the passing game because we don't have, great quarterback play.
Right.
He went a real route like nobody else.
It's a thing of beauty.
Nick Mullins, Jimmy Garoppolo, they all miss him. So my point is, because of in-depth quarterback play, Juice can't even really get off the way he needs to get off in the passing game. And you ask me, he's more of a passing game fullback. He's not your traditional Tom Rappin fullback, but he's a Swiss Army knife. He's a weapon. But unfortunately, because in that quarterback play, he can't even really get off the way he needs to. Yeah, he can block with the best of them, but he want to get some love too in the passing game. So again, with Debo being out, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have to be orchestrate a whole lot more. I'm sorry, Kyle, but
no, I think you're.
Or if he starts to bring in Trey Lance a little bit to compensate for that, because think about it. The one thing Trey Lance has that Jimmy G doesn't, it's something like a software upgrade. Jimmy G ain't got the software upgrade.
Yeah,
So
he's 1.0. Lance is 2.0.
right. So but the thing about it is you bring Trey Lance in the game, and please don't use him like Derrick Henry.
Oh
Please,
God.
Please use him as a quarterback, not a running back. But at
Yep.
least when you bring Trey Lance in the game, it's a two-way go. Ain't nobody scared of Jimmy running the ball.
No.
I'm a big boy. I'm not worried about Jimmy running the ball. Look,
No.
I'm gonna run Jimmy down. So my point is, he's gonna have to get very creative. Either get very creative or trust Jimmy more.
I think that trusting Jimmy and counting on Jimmy to have a better game could be the way in which this has to play out. If Seattle really sells out and Kyle feels it necessary to lean on Jimmy more, that's an interesting angle of it that, like I said, I hadn't considered. I had been more on the, who are those skill players? And then this from Sean that I'm going to bring in. These injuries are a good thing, which seems counter, right? That seems like it's crazy to say, but I had this thought as well. We need to see if we can win with heart and teamwork with second-level guys. Mark of a good team is when you can win with anyone. 53 guys who believe. I see this as an opportunity for the 49ers to establish other players that to this point have not risen up to where they need to be if this team is going to be a legit threat going forward. You and I differ a little bit on our evaluation of Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm middle of the road with it. But I couldn't say that it's been inferior play. It's been inconsistent play. It's definitely not elite play. And the storylines of that being the case are way overblown in the national media right now. It's pretty wild what is out there. But I see this as the opportunity to finally get Kittle rounded back into shape where he's contributing on a regular basis, to get Brandon Ayuk to continue the progression we have seen from when he was in that weird place in the doghouse to where he is now. I think it sets up for what Zero Shift is saying here, that this could be one that falls on Jimmy. We may need to count on Jimmy to have one of his better games. What he cannot do in this one, he cannot turn the ball over. That place in Seattle goes off when they get those forced turnovers. When they are able to take the ball away, shift the momentum like that, the fans in the stands light up. It is something.
That's a momentum turner. Yeah.
Yeah. Uncle Mo is going to stay in Seattle, man. He camps out there. It is, and to the point of how good are we? How do we answer questions about the San Francisco 49ers? The NFL is a violent game. Everybody has injuries. I'm with Gustavo here. The great ones prevail. In 2019, we prevailed. And it is that process of prevailing and bringing up players that haven't been producing to this point. That's what's really going to get this 49er team to the next level. All right. That brings us to the question of what is the next level. I'm going to throw this out there. Let's look at Super Bowl odds right now. So it doesn't seem that there are really the dominant teams in the NFL as a whole, and not in the NFC either. There's no clear-cut front runner where everyone says to themselves, yeah, this team is far and away the team to beat in the division in the NFC. Last year at this time, the Chiefs were plus 275 to win the Super Bowl. So bet 100, win 275. The Bucs right now are the highest favored team to win the Super Bowl. They're plus 500, which is 5-1 odds, which are pretty good odds. You bet $100, you're winning 500 back.
You're right.
So, and that's the most favored team out there. So as you see it breaking down in the NFC more specifically, is it sort of wide open within the playoffs? Is there any dominant team that you see that clear and away is the favorite?
I'm answering that question in a second, but I saw a comment. Because one thing I do when I'm on shows, or even on my show, I monitor the comments as well. So this comment from Sean, is it Doom?
I think so.
Dooney, I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Can you bring it up right quick?
Jimmy, this one?
Right, yes. So to speak to that, so he says Jimmy just needs to be the same as the last 5 weeks. Run the ball, efficient on third down to Kittle, etc. Time of possession, limit Seattle possessions, simple. Seattle is not good enough for 60 minutes. We can't really say that last part because we haven't played them yet in this particular environment. So my thing is, and he says Jimmy needs to be the same as he has the last 5 weeks to run the ball. Right, run the ball. But my thing about Jimmy and Rob, I've said I might put it on a T-shirt. What I said about Jimmy is not the plays he makes, it's the plays he doesn't make that really hurt us the most.
Sure.
So let's go ahead and fast forward, Sean, and put us on third down. Jimmy throws high. Jimmy throws high and away. Jimmy throws an interception because Jimmy took over for good Jimmy. So my point is, you never know what you're going to get with Jimmy. You just don't. And with good quarterbacks, you don't have that worry. You don't. And I'm sorry, it just you don't. So my thing is, I cringe whenever we have a third down. Yes, he is efficient on third down sometimes, but then sometimes he's not. So I'm like, third and short, I can deal with. But like third and 13, 10, 15, I'm like, oh, okay, Lord Jesus, please be merciful. So my thing is, that's why I keep saying this game in particular, Jimmy has to have his best game and be efficient as he's ever been. Because the opportunity may not come as often as they have. This is Seattle. It's loud as hell. Jimmy G already jittery, as some people call him.
Sure.
So my thing is, come on, like it's going to really come down to now. It's going to come down to you. What Jimmy does.
Yeah.
But to get back to your question, prayer is going to be one of the answers. But man, can we win this game? Of course, yes.
Yeah.
So should we win this game? Of course, yes.
Yeah.
Will we win this game?
Let me say this just to get in real quick on Sean, because I want to issue the correction. I was wrong. It is Dunn. It is Sean Dunn, which actually makes more sense when I think about it. As a guy who has a last name that is often mispronounced, I always like to make a point of correcting myself. No, that was me. I thought I knew it. I thought it was Dune. I probably had said it before because I've definitely had Sean in here many a time, and so I'm glad to get the pronunciation right myself. And then back to this. So I see what he's laid out here as being the key. This is the way the 49ers should attempt to beat Seattle. But I key back to there are two things that are true. One, the game sets up for us to apply this game plan. This is how we hopefully will beat Seattle, by running the ball, being efficient on those third downs. Hopefully Jimmy will be confident, will continue his current third down percentage, completion percentage. But and hold on to the ball, keep Russell Wilson on the sideline, and count on the fact that they are not a very complete football team. That is true. And what's also true is what George Kittle said when asked about on to Seattle, with the fact that Seattle has been struggling in the postgame presser. He said, I don't care what their record is. I don't care how they've been playing. When they play us, they play tough. Those games end up being closer than anybody thinks they're going to be going in. And so it's very possible that while we go in with this intention of rolling over Seattle, which on paper looks nice, looks doable, that it could end up being close. It could end up being that there is a ball in Russell Wilson's hand with a chance to make a run at the end of the game. And like I said, I will be nervous in that case. But back to the topic at hand of the NFC teams, I do see it as a pretty wide open race in the playoffs, that there isn't one clear team that I count on running the table. I think the most dangerous team, the two most dangerous teams in my mind are the Cardinals and the Bucks, because of Tom Brady and how clutch he is in the playoffs. A strong interior pass rush, which I think is very challenging for most teams because they're able to effectively stop the run and generate a pass rush from the interior. And then the Cardinals, while they lack the pedigree of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is the reason I respect Tampa Bay, because of Tom Brady's pedigree and his ability in the playoffs that he shows over and over again, I don't see that in Arizona. I don't have confidence in Kyler Murray not melting down at some point, in Cliff Kingsbury not falling short and succumbing to the pressure. So and Green Bay seems to be an inconsistent team that almost lost to San Francisco, that did lose to Minnesota. And so to me, there are better teams, and I have to acknowledge there are better teams than the Niners right now, but nobody's a complete team in my book. Nobody's a lock to really dominate in the playoffs.
I agree. And, it's funny because, my son, he's 17. Somehow, some way, I think he may have been kidnapped at some point in time, but, he's a Seahawks fan,
So he was brainwashed at one point.
Right. I don't know what happened to him, but, he blinked and it was over, but, his mother's from San Diego and I'm from San Francisco. So at different points in time, he was a Niner fan and he was a Charger fan, but then he saw the Seahawks were winning at that point in time, so he became a Seahawks fan, but and he stuck with him. I say that. But in terms of not knowing who's going to win, Rob, this season in itself has been unpredictable. You got teams supposed to win who lose.
Yeah.
Teams supposed to lose who win. And you're like, what? And you got teams who 1 week do like the Grizzlies did last night, beating OKC by 73 points, and then the next week lose by 105. Like what's going on? So there are no locks. So just it don't matter who the better team is. What the fact is who played better football that day. That's what it is.
Yes.
So
the parity in the NFL is at an all-time high this season. I think that's a real thing, that there have been more upsets this year than in years past, and more big upsets where the clear underdog who's favored by, or is favored to lose by 6 or 7 comes out victorious. And from 1 week to the next, you get these wild swings of, oh, this team is far and away in the power rankings, number 5. And then next week you see them at number 12 because they just lost to somebody they lost to Jacksonville or something
crazy.
Like that.
It's crazy. So it's really just who wants it more. But I'm going to give you a team, though.
Okay.
And even though they've been kind of teetering, a strong Dallas team. I hate the Cowboys.
Yep.
Being born and raised as a Niner fan, I can't stand the damn Cowboys.
Tavarius is with you here.
Every time I hear, how about them Cowboys, I sit the hell up. So, but their team, they got it all. They do. So if Dak is on, now I will say this, it would take for the same thing it would take for us to run the table, it would take for them to run the table. Everybody got to be on at the same time.
Yeah.
There can't be no gaps.
Right.
But
Everything has to go right for them.
But I'm not even scared of Tampa Bay. Just if you rattle Tom Brady, you put Tom Brady on his pockets, he ain't worth nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you get Tom Brady consistently. Right. Now, if he got all day back there and he back there selling Girl Scout cookies, he gonna carve you up.
He's gonna pick you apart. Yeah, he's gonna carve you up.
And and Leonard Fournette, you hit him in the mouth a couple times, he gonna fold. So it's just a matter of playing sound, clean, fundamental football for 4 quarters. And see, people take for granted what it means to play 4 quarters of sound football.
Yes.
I know it takes a lot. It does. But I'm gonna compare this team. Now I'm kind of jumping around the globe right now, but
sure,
our Niners team this year with Debo being out right now. I compare our team right now to my Warriors. I'm a Warriors fan too. To when Clay went out. So now it's all on Steph. So but see the good thing in that is we're missing a guy like Clay. Now you're gonna see what you have. Now you're gonna see who can step up in
the
other
role
areas.
Players.
And it sucks, but Rob, how long have we been saying next man up? Every damn season.
Because we're always injured.
So but Debo being out, now we're gonna see, okay, Kyle, we took that little, glitch, out your playbook. Now what you gonna do? So not only is it gonna make the players around Jimmy Garoppolo better, it should make Kyle Shanahan better because now he has to think a little bit more.
That makes sense.
But it comes back to, can Jimmy be that much better to make the offense better and Kyle Shanahan look better? So It really comes down to that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we may have to pass the ball a little bit more. But with Hasty being back and Jeff Wilson Jr. being back, we should be able to distribute the carries. But if they're shutting
Yes.
down the run game,
And don't underestimate Hasty's ability as that third down back to be more effective in pass blocking. That does make a difference to give that extra half a second to Jimmy before somebody's in his face. That is critical. I think Sean Dunn sums up this topic pretty well, that the four front runners seem to be, while I don't think any of these are super complete teams, I think they're all beatable, but Tampa Bay, Green Bay, Arizona, Dallas, those top four really seem to be the front runners. But it's fair to say each time is hit or miss, week to week. It changes. And this one is an interesting stat that Grant also raised this morning. Home field advantage is really non-existent this year. When you look at 2020 and 2021, the home field has not mattered in the way that it has. So that whoever's hot running into January, if the Niners keep up this momentum, it is fair to wonder if they won't be the spoiler in this season. The only thing I will say is that travel does matter. If we have to fly cross country to go play in Green Bay, Tampa Bay, those are tough. Those are long trips. Those are early starts. Maybe you got the late start because of the playoffs being on a different time frame, but those things do matter, and that would be the only question for me.
I will say this in terms of travel. I don't mind traveling anywhere else other than Green Bay. I mean,
it's cold in January in Green Bay.
We've had one quarterback to own Green Bay in Green Bay. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's my guy Cat.
That's it.
I mean, it's cold. I mean,
real cold, Kev.
It's I played in cold weather before. I know some of y'all have, but it takes a certain mindset, a certain savagery to be able to fight through that. So other than going to Green Bay, I don't care where we go. New England, I'm just naming names, Dallas,
throwing it out there.
Florida, I don't care. But Green Bay is a whole different environment.
Pack our bags. All right, here's a question that was brought in that I think is an interesting one because it brings up a position that the 49ers will be thin at, and they will have to get creative in how they address the lack of depth for linebackers. But Lawless Light comes in and says, how do you think our linebackers will do against Seattle? I'll kick it off and say, I think we will be reliant upon multiple position sets. I would expect higher instances of nickel and dime coverage where you see K'Wan Williams on the field instead of that third linebacker, or K'Wan Williams and Talanoa Hufanga in the dime set instead of additional linebackers, because we are thin. I mean, Marcel Harris is going through the concussion protocol. I think he's cleared every hurdle he needs to. I think he's on track to play, but you're looking at Azeez starting in a new position where he's now calling the plays. He's got the voice in his ear, and that's something to get used to. And then you have Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, who is a safety, undrafted free agent safety converting
to
linebacker, who is a core special teams player, who now you have to fill his special teams role with somebody who's less experienced, because you can't have him playing. Yeah, you can't have him playing special teams and being a key linebacker in the game. You got to switch it up. So it will be interesting to see how the 49ers scheme around this. I think we have the bodies, but they're going to have to get creative. Is that how you see it, Kev?
As a DC myself, trust me, Rob, I've been thinking about this before the even season started. Even in the offseason, when articles are being written and conversations being had, I always said our thinnest position group was linebacker, and nobody wanted to hear me because we got Fred, we got Greenlaw. I'm like, okay, behind those two, who you got? So unfortunately, now it happened. But now, okay, you can slide Azeez to Mike,
right.
Our monster, as I called it. He's playing the Mike now. So now you gotta put somebody in the will spot. If it's me doing it, if Marcel Harris is healthy, he's my will. We don't run a base 4-3 too much anymore anyway. So
no, very few snaps.
The Sam linebacker is pretty much been extinct. But if we're in a base 4-3 and had to put three guys out there, it's going to be Aziz and Mike, Harris and Will. And you know what? If I had to, I'll put either a Tart, a Funga, and Sam, only because they're athletic and they like to hit.
Yes,
you see what I'm saying?
Bring them up into the box.
But then you take somebody from the safety spot. So now,
right.
who going to replace Tart or Funga at safety? But the thing about it is, if Hufunga's at Sam, you got Tart at strong. So I mean, it can be done. Hopefully, it doesn't have to be done. But I think, look, Aziz has been playing out of his mind. And I said
so
it
well and laying hits on people.
Ago. Oh my! Hey, listen, Rob. I'm not just saying this for clout. I'm not clout chasing. But I told folks a long time ago, hey, Aziz is a baller. I'm telling you, only reason he ain't getting more shine because he don't start. But that boy been balling, and even though he's not as good in coverage as Greenlaw is, he made that pick last week versus Minnesota, like he was in coverage. So, with that being said, Aziz at the mic, Harris at the wheel, and I think we'll stay out of a base 4-3. So we won't need a Sam too often. So
that makes sense to me. That seems like a good lineup. Kev, I just wanted, before I forget, to remind folks so that they stick around to the end of the program, and I didn't plug it at the beginning, so apologies for putting this in here, but I did show the shirt before. There is a giveaway happening today for sneakerheads, people that are a part of my channel, that joined the channel. That is the George Kittle Saints game, carrying Saints, and it is Furious George, much like Curious George. This is a shirt that I made for myself, my family in 2019. I have a couple copies. My dad has one, my brother has one, my mom has one, my wife has one, a buddy of mine has one, and I made this one an XL for George Kittle because I thought I'd bring it with me and throw it to him at the game. So I took it with me in the playoffs for Minnesota, for Green Bay. This is dead stock. It's never been worn, but it has traveled to Santa Clara twice and to Miami for the Super Bowl. So there is good 2019 vibes on this T-shirt, and we are going to give it away at the end of this show. Kev is going to help me by picking the random number that determines which of the sneakerheads gets this T-shirt. So stick around or check the end of the video if you head out. All right, getting back to a couple of our last topics. And this one, there's obviously some overlap with things that we have been talking about so far. We've covered what we see as important. But if you had to re-summarize for the folks how you see it breaking out, what are the keys for the 49ers to beat Seattle on Sunday?
Sweep the leg.
Sweep the leg.
That meaning keep Russell Wilson bottled up. I mean, make somebody else beat you. Anybody but Russell. ABR. Anybody but Russell.
Anybody but Russell.
Anybody but Russell. And think about it. It runs through Russell. So if you're hurrying him and rattling him and kind of just harassing him, the rest of the offense can't go. Unfortunately, see, this is where you separate things. Yeah. If you put the game on Russell Wilson's shoulders, okay, you're good. I take Russell Wilson with a bad finger over Jimmy healthy. But my point is, if you put it on Russell to where, somebody else other than Russell, we're in good hands. Great. But harassing, get to him, hug him. Nick Bosa, fight through them double teams, fight to be in hell. Arden Key, Kevin Givens, Eric Armstead, DJ Jones, all of y'all, Charles Amanihu. I need y'all to spend so much time in the backfield this week that you would think they had timeshares in the backfield. And rush as one. I can't emphasize that enough as being a key to the game. So it sounds like if you're attempting to take away Russell Wilson, I see that game plan defensively as running a majority too high safeties because Russell loves the deep ball. He loves to throw it deep. And so if you're in too high, you're going to take that away from him. You're going to force him to dink and dunk more. You've got to get after him. Do you see the Niners attempting to get home most frequently with just their four down linemen, or would you anticipate
a higher percentage of well-timed blitzes to come in from D'Amico Ryans on Sunday?
As a DC myself, I've
Yeah.
always said that if you got a blitz to get pressure, you're already behind the A-ball. Because when you blitz somebody, now your coverage integrity is degraded.
And Russ is going to make you pay on that.
Exactly. So my thing is, yes, front. If it's me, I'm D'Amico Ryans. I'm taking my front four rotation. Listen here, this game is on y'all.
Yes.
I don't care if there's nobody else out there. We could be 4 versus 11. It's y'all versus them.
Right.
Y'all got to win the game for us. You know, and in secondary, I'm like, don't put a game in the secondary. You know, especially with DPI calls and things like that. Front four, get home. Not just front Nick Bosa. Front four.
Right.
You know, win your one-on-ones. You know, Armstead, Givens, DJ Jones, Amanehu, all of y'all. Please, this game in particular, it should be if I'm in a defensive huddle, I'm playing a game of meet you at the quarterback. That's what we're playing. Meet you at Russell. Meet you at Russell.
That's what has to happen, and it has to be multiple waves. It cannot just be the starting 4 that are generating pressure. To your point, it has to be everybody. It's got to be Kevin Givens. It's got to be Jordan Willis. It's got to be Charles Omenihu. It has to be Samson Ebukam. Everybody needs to be rushing as one. And you said it earlier, keep contained. Bosa and Armstead, when they're on the outside, Armstead in particular against Seattle, there have been some highlight reels that show him a bit over pursuing and Russell escaping. And I think that, to me, if we can avoid that and the front 4 can contain Russell and we do play those too high safety looks, then this game sets up very nicely for the 49ers. And on my keys to the game on the other side of the ball, it really is about time of possession. Seattle is worst in the league in time of possession. It's one of the worst time of possession margins in the past 44 years. The Niners have to capitalize on that. They need to possess the ball, go on these long, extended drives, the way that they have been, but play efficiently. The worst thing that Jimmy could do in this game is fumble or throw that interception. If that momentum begins to shift, like we talked about earlier, man, it will give Seattle life. It will give them a feeling of we are in this, and you can't have Russell Wilson sweep the leg, right? Take it out from under him, take away their heart, take away their soul, take away their belief that they can turn it around.
From the first snap. Now, I'm gonna speak to something, Rob, in terms of defense. And again, I've only coached youth football, so I mean, I never got paid to coach.
Sure.
You know, I coach out of straight passion.
Yep.
But only to separate me from an NFL coach is money.
That's right.
Because coaching at the core is coaching at the core.
Yes, so it is. Leading people.
Fundamentals are fundamentals. So I will say this. This is the one thing our edge rushers need to understand and focus on. I don't care if you 1 sack from having the most sacks in NFL history. I don't care if you 1 tackle for loss for setting a record. This is my thing. That's what separates a would-be sack from a sack. So if the guys who come off the edge, so, I can get them if I go outside, but you might miss. Just contain the outside. So my thing is just close that C gap down, worry less about the sack, and worry more about killing that possession.
Yeah.
Because that's what really happens with edge rushers. They're so sack hungry. I'm finna get them, and then they get run out the play, or they do a swim move inside, and then the quarterback escapes outside. Never forget your job as an edge rusher is to rush from the edge. So close down that C gap, keep them in the middle, and we'll be just fine.
Yeah, what I'm hearing there is don't get desperate. Play within the scheme. You got a game plan.
Don't get greedy.
The game plan. Yes. Amen to that. All right, so let's assume that the 49ers don't get greedy, that they do come in with a fantastic game plan and they execute it. Our last topic here is a score prediction of how this game turns out. Now, I did my score prediction this week. I usually like to wait until after I have really dug into game film on the team that we're coming up against. So early in the week in those shows, it's much more of a reaction to the previous week's game. You want to celebrate or criticize based on a win or a loss. And then you really dig in on the next coming up opponent. Well, I was asked early in the week what my prediction was, and off the cuff, I gave it. And so I started to think about, well, was that off? And the more I thought about it, the more comfortable I was in what my prediction would be. And for just a moment, I'm going to pause. I'm going to leave some suspense there because I just saw, as I went over to the comments, Sean Dunn came in with Super Chat. So I'm going to pause because it's related to the keys to the game, which was our last topic. So I'm going to hit that and then get right back to that score prediction that I was about to drop on you. Sean Dunn says, key to the game, simple, to kill the Seattle era. Third down, run equals Kittle, juice. Shut Seattle down on third down. Crowd will leave early. Man, that would be sweet to have a vacant Seattle stadium that was overrun by 49er faithful, reminiscent of the 2019 Rams game at LA Coliseum, which I was also fortunate enough to be at, where it just felt like a home game at some point. I would love if that were the keys to the game. Sean, I appreciate you giving me that positivity, putting this idea out into the universe so that hopefully it can come to fruition. So back to my prediction. Oh, come on in, Kev. Come on in.
So think about this. As Sean said, hey, Sean, hey, shout out to you, bro. I like you already, Sean. You know, come over real talk. I'm saying hi, because you'd be a great asset. But I want to say this. If we can do that, think about it. We've had a couple of drives this season where, and Rob, a couple of times I was like, wait a minute. We had the ball the whole quarter? So
right.
So
whole
think
quarter.
about it. Think about it where if we win a game 28-0, which means we scored 7 points in every quarter because we had the ball each quarter pretty much. So, damn it, that's what I'm 28-0. My score
28-0.
28-0. Damn it.
I
Okay,
love it.
Okay, wait. 28-3. I give him 3.
You give him a field goal? Kev, you're generous, man. You're real generous.
Hey, in Seattle, it's Russell Wilson. You never know. But my point is, if we had 4 drives like that, Rob, in 4 straight quarters, 28-3 is a great score. That means
great score.
They're kicking a long field goal. So listen, and it can be done. So just keep the ball from them. Keep Russell Wilson sitting on the sideline, with his hand in an ice machine or something. You know what I'm saying? So he's ready for when he go in. Hey, nah. You know what? Damn it, yeah, 28-3 is my 28-3.
I love it. And M-Dub is in there for seeing Niner fans taking over the stadium. I will do my part for sure. Sean Dunn asking, so let's tell the people, it's down in the description of this video, but go ahead and tell them where they can find you again, Kev.
Hey, Sean Dunn, man. Again, I like you already, bro. I mean, I like everything you said. My YouTube individually is Silverado Kev, but I don't do many videos there. But if I do it to push traffic to our Real Talk Niner Talk channel, so there's Real Talk Niner Talk on YouTube, So my YouTube channel is Silverado Kev, but the podcast I represent is Real Talk Niner Talk. So you type in Real Talk Niner Talk on YouTube, we'll come up, give us a follow, tap in. You like what I'm doing here, I guarantee you like the whole show. And Rob, thank you for making it possible. But hey, Sean Dunn, hey man, hey, I like that guy, man.
Sean's a good dude for sure.
Yeah.
And you've convinced others. Texas Niners changing it up. He's on 28-0 now. He loved that prediction. Boom. We got people subscribing, Kev. Yeah, in the description down here, you got his Twitter handle so that you can follow him individually, and you got the link to the YouTube channel for the podcast. And go sign up for both. It doesn't cost you anything to just hit that button and go find more good Niner content that you're seeing here from Silverado Kev. All right, my final prediction, and then we'll do this little drawing that we got and wrap this thing up. 24-16. I predicted it early in the week, and I'm sticking with it. It gives me hope that we
16.
can be far enough away from the Seahawks for them coming back. I just am too skeptical of Russell Wilson's abilities to count him out. I would be thrilled if that 28-3 or 28-0 prediction turns out to be the reality. I would never be happier to be wrong in my life in that. I still see it as breaking the Niners' way, but once we're up big, Russell Wilson, it strikes me, will be able to put up some yardage, put up some points.
So, mathematically, I'm like 28-16, 16. So, okay. So, 3 field goals and a touchdown.
Yeah, it could be 2 touchdowns, 2 2-point conversions. That'd be weird though. When I came up with it, 24-16, it was a touchdown and 3 field goals was my prediction. Was that you probably have, a couple of field goals in the first half, but then when they're down, they're not going to go for as many, so then that touchdown comes in garbage time. So that's where I'm giving them a touchdown in garbage time.
And again, I hate to be like this, and it's not Jimmy G's fault. It's not, because he who he is. In life, you got to accept people for who they are. Accept people for who they are and to put them in their place. So if we had better quarterback play, my score prediction would have been different. But if Jimmy can manage to hand the ball off when he needs to and hit his layups and take up the whole damn quarter, pretty much 28-0. 28-3. But long as he don't turn the ball over, we good. If Jimmy don't turn the ball over, they don't score. So, Jimmy, if you're watching this, sir, be good, Jimmy. Not bad, Jimmy.
Right? So that, it does leave, sorry, I'm mistakenly muted myself. In Portland here, we have an Army base that every now and then a jet takes off from, and it is this wild noise. You're like, ooh, I would not want to live in a country where those things were flying above me and potentially taking aim. But yeah,
Rob,
yes, sir.
Let me tell you, my last command in the Navy was the USS Ronald Reagan.
Ooh, man.
So you talking about jet taking off and landing. You have no idea how that is until you've been on an aircraft carrier hearing jets, F-18s, F-16s landing and taking off. But no, I know what you mean, though.
I bet you do. I bet you know what I mean more than I know what I mean in this instance. And thank you for your service, Kev. I honestly wanted to say that. I'm glad I got the opportunity. Yeah, so Sean points out that would leave Russ with a chance. Maybe not. Maybe they're down 11 and they settle for the field goal to make it a 1-possession game. I hope I'm wrong. He also points out that there's probably going to be very few field goals kicked because Pete Carroll at 3-8 is not going to be kicking field goals. He is going to be attempting to score touchdowns. There may be some validity.
They're going for it.
Yeah, that's right. It could. Hey, like I said, could be 2 touchdowns, 2 2-point conversions. All right, we got a bunch of people watching, and I know that people are waiting on this drawing that we're going to do. So this one's going to be easy. It is, again, for this vintage dead stock version of the latest merchandise. If you like this merch, I am selling it as well. The Sneakerhead Platinum get a at-cost version. The Furious George shirt is being given away. Unworn, but well-traveled dead stock here. It's going to be simple, Silverado Kev. I just need you to pick a number between 1 and 17.
1 and 17. Go my favorite number. 7.
7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Mr. Olight. Mr. Olight, the Sneakerhead, you are the lucky winner of this beautiful George Kittle Furious George t-shirt. If for any reason you don't want it, an XL is not your size and you don't have someone to give it to, let me know. Happy to give it to somebody else. But if you want it, right? If you want it, you got it, Mr. Olight. You just got to provide your address to me. I'm paying the shipping. That thing is coming to you free of charge. no tax implication because it is dead stock. It is something that has been written off in that way. Well, Kev, man, this has been awesome. I really enjoyed having you on. This has been a great dialogue. I hope we can do it again in the future. I'd be more than happy to come on and join the conversation that's happening on Real Talk as well. If that's ever something that you want to do, we'll make that happen for sure. Again, thanks for joining me today. Go follow Kev. The links are down in the description of the video. I will be back on. I'm going to be in Seattle, so I'm going to try to do some live shots from the stadium. I'm going to bring my phone. I'm going to try to get some live going, but I won't have my usual pregame and postgame until I get back home after driving back from Seattle. I'll come on late Sunday night. So look for me. If you want to know when I'm going live, you got to hit that bell. You got to subscribe, hit the bell, and then when I go live from Seattle on location, you'll be notified. I don't have the schedule yet, but I will definitely be there, be loud, and be broadcasting on this channel. So until then,
do your thing, Rob. Do your thing.
Yes, sir. Kev, a pleasure, my friend, and I will see all the Niner faithful again soon.
Not again of everything.